Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Minute. So we are on the air. We had a little minor technical difficulty, but we are back. This is Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis. Thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. Hey, how are you doing, my dear friend Don? What's happening?
I feel so horrible. I'm not going to explain what happened.
You don't have. Listen, let me tell you, the one good thing about it, man, is that we made it on air and we made it on time, even if it were, 15 seconds or 30 seconds? What was it?
It was 5 seconds.
It was 5 seconds.
You make it sound worse now. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't mean to make it sound that bad, Don. Come on, you know I love you, Don. So come on,
thanks.
Doesn't matter. But folks, we are going to have a great show for you today. We are going to talk a whole lot of stuff today. I guarantee you that. And we want to also hear from you. So do remember that this is a call-in show, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And we want you to call. We're going to have a great show. You know, all the crazy thing that's happening in this society today. Now, Trump done, what is the word that we would say? Went ahead and said, we are now recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. I mean, Israel didn't even have to work to get that to get that done. They didn't even have to concede anything. He just went ahead and gave it to them. And this is the guy that claims to be the #1 negotiator in the world. He is the guy who says nobody knows what to do like he does. And what did he just do? Screw up diplomacy. Our president just screwed up diplomacy. But you know, it's a lot more than that. I just started with Jerusalem for the heck of it, but the reality is we have so much happening. We have to learn how to know when and where to disregard certain issues. Not when I say disregard, I don't mean forget them. I just mean we have to learn that there are times that we have to prioritize. So what is the show today? The show today is titled, is it time to hit the streets and say no to GOP tax cut scam? And I think all of you by now know what I think that answer is. I think you all know what that answer is. Anyhow, it goes as follows. With the number of scandals circling this president, it is easy to prioritize them incorrectly. That is a mistake we cannot afford to make, folks. The #1 issue right now is the Republican tax cut scam. Let me repeat that again. The #1 issue in this country right now. Sexual harassment is extremely important. Yes. Jerusalem is what he has done with Jerusalem is extremely important. Yes. Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act is extremely important. Yes. Russia is extremely important. Yes. But right now for the something is existential, and that is the tax cut scam. And why that is because it affects every single one of you. It can actually affect the future of your kids. It affects the future of those that are going to study. It affects the future of so many things. And what it does now is not something that happens in 1 year or 2 years. It is long lasting. So folks, we have to take that seriously, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to have some of that in the blog of the week. But before I get started with the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. And as a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m.
And of course, we have Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m.
And then we have Open Journal
with Dwayne Bradley and Marlo Blue on Mondays at 6 p.m.
Great show as well. And then, of course, there's Jazz Latino of Rock Even Latin Jazz, and its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores on Tuesdays at noon.
Hey, I love that. I love the new voice too, my friend. But then, of course, we have, you see that voice that you just heard there, Don? That is Senor Don Freeman, who has the Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by the Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD3 side. Do remember we have two sides. We have the regular FM side and we have the HD3 side. Don is on the HD3 side with not only those two programs, but Don made me aware today that he also has a new program. So why don't you take a minute or so to tell us a little bit about your new program, Don?
Okay, I'll do it in my regular voice. Our new show is called Really. It comes on at 9 o'clock on HD. It's one of those shows that is made by millennials that talks about what is going on in our country and in our everyday lives and how it affects the way we live. It's a big disconnect right now with the way that millennials are treated and the way that millennials are actually being represented. And that is what Really is going to be about. That is 9 to 10 on the KPFT HD3 side, followed by 10 o'clock, where Really But Not Really is the comedy version of what we just did at 9.
Excellent. Thank you, Don. So, folks, don't forget to tune into that. But anyhow, check out all our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to the politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, please visit us at kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely so, folks. This is KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. Remember, go ahead and follow hashtags, or rather, go ahead and use hashtag politics done right. And remember the Twitter ID, or my Twitter symbol, or whatever, I forget what you call it, Twitter code is Egberto Willies, Twitter handle. I'm getting old. Twitter handle, Egberto Willies. You can listen to the live stream on Facebook Live, which is streaming right now. As well, you can listen to us going to kpft.org/listen. And of course, if you're in the Houston metropolitan area, 90.1 FM, Houston, Texas. But folks, do you really know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks. Today is I'm reading this. I wrote this blog last week, and I really wanted to get some traction because it is something that we have to really get serious about. Title of the blog: Wake up, people. We should be in the streets against the tax cut scam. Wake up. This is serious, and yes, Russia is serious. All these other issues are serious, but we have to prioritize, and we have to understand that if we don't solve the tax cut problem, if we don't stop that pilfer from occurring, all the other stuff, for all practical matter, doesn't matter. So we have to get busy. So here it goes. Americans need to stop being so complacent about the tax cut scam that President Trump and Republicans are attempting to impose on them. We must earn our freedom. We cannot keep it with an apathetic attitude. When your local progressive organizations, whether it's be Indivisible or Revolution, etc., put out actions, you must participate with your body if possible. Forget the Republican spin on their tax cut scam. It isn't even about the deficit. It's deeper than that. It's about theft of our country's treasure. So again, remember, you get the call from Indivisible, you get the call from our Revolution, you get the call from Swing Left, you get the call from any one of these organizations. Go out there if at all possible. For those who cannot go out there, do whatever you can. But folks, this is not the time for complacency. Actually, the President Obama said something to that effect, and I'm going to talk about that later on in the show as well. Anyhow, what we have to do. It is false that expanded economic activity will pay for the tax cut. That is absolute false, patently false. Not even Republicans believe that lie. How do we know that? When Senator Corker asked to put out an amendment that will reverse the taxes if there was insufficient economic activity to pay for the tax cut, Republicans did what? They rejected it. If they were so sure about it, why refuse said change if one believes the increased economic activity would occur? No competent economist agrees with Republicans, and guess what? They tried this to a lesser extent in the Reagan years, and he exploded the deficit like no previous president before. But Republican politicians show their lack of morality and the evil behind the tax cut scam in other ways. The tax cut for corporations are permanent. In other words, we've cut the taxes for corporations not to be undone. The tax cut for those corporations are permanent, but the tax cuts for the middle class and poor, for those who are lucky to get them, are what? Temporary. So you know what? In order so that they can pass it with less than the 60 vote majority, they said, we need to make sure that it doesn't bust up the budget. And how do we not bust up the budget? Give the American people the illusion that they're getting tax cuts for the first few years and zap it away from them. It looks good on the books because now the deficit doesn't look as bad as that. Remember, they have to hold that deficit to $1.5 trillion or else they need 60 votes. So therefore, zap the tax cuts that would have been given, the little bit of tax cuts that would have been given to the middle class, get rid of it, and hey, we can do it with 50 votes. Even more draconian, states throughout the country have been cutting education budgets. For decades, teachers have been supplementing these cuts by purchasing supplies for classrooms. They were able to deduct these on their taxes, but now, while Republicans-led states continue to cut education spending with impunity, they also want to prevent underpaid teachers from deducting their classroom expenses. That's a part of this new bill, folks. That's why you got to be in the streets. Do remember at the same time, the wealthy can deduct the costs associated with their airplanes. If not, the plane itself. If not, the plane itself. Closer to home, Republicans are eliminating the sales tax deduction that affects all Americans. But there is a caveat. There is a caveat. If you are rich and arrange your work as a particular kind of corporation or pass-through organization, meaning if you're a stockbroker, a doctor, a lawyer, an investment banker, and all these kinds of professions, you get to deduct your sales taxes. So what happened? The middle class, they can't deduct those things. They're taking the sales tax away, but guess who can do it? Oh, a corporation again, of course. One could go on and on and on and on. One will lose any savings in taxes with the increased cost of health care and the loss of many deductions and more. Americans must not fall for the tax cut scam. Folks, it is a scam, and you have to let these guys know you understand that it's a scam. And yes, they really don't care what you think, because right now they're being held by, you know what, las pelotas. And the reason they're holding them, the people that give them the money are telling them you must pass this. They think they need to follow what their masters tell them, or else money will be used to not get them reelected. But if they know up front that if they pass it, there is a stone thrown in hell that they'll get reelected, you know what? You can win. The way that the news have been giving you the impression that this stuff has already passed, it has not. We have time. We have power. The power of the people. We can do it. Look, folks, one could go on and on. One will lose any savings in taxes with the increased cost of health care and the loss of many deductions and more. Americans must not fall for the tax cut scam. Look, this tax bill will not generate economic activity. If you give rich people money, they do not spend it, but on things which increase economic activity. And they will not invest in America because there isn't the spending power necessary to generate the economic activity to justify spending and creating new jobs. Supply side is crap. You can't tell me I am going to invest more if I ain't got people to buy the products from which or for whence to invest. It cannot happen, folks. We're being snowed, and it's time for us to use our own heads and not be snowed. They do not spend it, okay? And they will not invest in America because there isn't the spending power necessary to generate the economic activity to justify spending and creating jobs. Supply side economics, trickle down economics, voodoo economics are all the same. And they have decimated the American poor and the American middle class. To attain the same living standard, most in homes need everyone in the household working long hours as the titans of finance benefit from our labor. Are you tired of this voluntary slavery? Folks, it is slavery. Slavery used to be race-based. You used to have a whole lot of people saying, at least I'm not a slave. At least I'm not that. At least I'm not that. So even if things are hard now, or a little bit hard, but it has changed, folks. They're now coming for you. They have decimated everybody else. It's your time now. It is your time. It is your time. They got to extract from you now. To attain the same living standard, most homes need everyone in the household working long hours as the titans of finance benefit from more labor. Are you not tired of this voluntary slavery? The wealthy are doing the working class no favors. It is us who fight the wars to maintain their command of assets around the world. It is us who purchase their products their investments are used to produce. It is us, the working class, who build, design, and create. The capitalists just throw capital around, and for that field they deserve particular merit. There is a significant imbalance when we allow wealth to rule. Workers get screwed. When we allow wealth to rule, when we allow capital to rule, when we dictate all our policies based on capital, you lose, because you then become a commodity to satisfy the capital. Remember that. 281, or rather 713-526-5738. I have so many numbers in my head, Don, I can't remember them all.
Yeah, it's okay. I was like, wait, what are you doing here?
Telephone number, folks. Call in show 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And I want to hear from you guys. But before I go to the phones, by the way, lines are wide open. We have two callers. I'm going to be getting to those callers, but the lines are wide open and we are ready to take you. Look, right now, last night, I want to give some huge kudos to Indivisible Houston. They went out in the cold. They went out in the rain between 6 and 8 yesterday at City Hall, and they had the filibuster against Donald Trump. Yes, they were in the streets, and they were doing what needed to be done. They were bringing awareness to this tax cut scam. They understand very well that this is existential. So, folks, we need you to participate in whatever manner you need to or you can. Whether it's calling your congressperson, calling your senators, calling everybody, whether it is whenever there's an action by Indivisible in your locale, whether it's in Houston, in California, in New York, or wherever, Indivisible is all over the place now. You guys need to call their action. You need to ensure that you follow through, because it's going to take a lot for us to move forward in this country. The decimation of the middle class, the decimation of the poor continues. Folks, let's go to line numero uno. Line number one. Let's go to line number one. All right, come on in, Scott.
Thank you. Yesterday, I got a Facebook friend request from Roel Garcia.
Excellent.
He is running in District 29 to fill a place being in Congress being vacated by Gene Green. And, I checked on mutual friends, and there were people I know. That's a good sign.
Yes.
He said in a message that he would try to answer my questions, but he wasn't sure he could would have time to answer all of them.
Right.
That's being honest, I think. He looks good to me. And the selling point he could have is that he's a new face. But On the other hand, that may not be such a good selling point.
Well,
depends on whether voters really want a new face. And, of course, they're going to have to want to check the candidate out. I do not vote in that district. I voted in District 18, Sheila Jackson Lee. But I probably will be voting on an endorsement by the Houston GLBT political caucus. And by the way, some of the mutual friends are gay.
Great. I mean, we are all a family, man, and that's what it's all about. So look, Scott, I'm glad that you're doing your homework. I'm glad that you're going to be voting. I'm glad that you're doing your research. And folks, let's listen to what Scott has to say. Scott is really doing what we have to do going forward. Thank you very much for your call, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to number 2. John, come on in. John, how are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Egberto. How you doing?
Great. Talk to me, my friend.
Yeah, I was just reading an article about AARP was talking about the pay-go rules, which are currently in effect. Basically, they're going to have to be $150 billion of mandatory cuts to offset the deficit.
Exactly.
And so, CBO is saying there'll be a $25 billion cut in Medicare for fiscal year 2018. So, I mean, that's devastating right at the front,
Exactly.
And so, I agree with you 100%. I mean, people should be out. I think there's actually momentum has actually moved towards it not passing,
I hope you're right.
Here's Susan Collins, and she's not, I mean, she voted for the bill to come out of, the Senate, but, I mean, now she's kind of wavering a little bit.
They fooled her.
Yeah,
they fooled her.
And I'm not. Yeah, again, it's hard to put a lot of emphasis in all these other Republicans because you've been burned so many times by them. I mean, Murkowski is going to vote for it because she got her Anwar drilling, but there may be some people that you can move. I mean, maybe Flake, maybe Corker again, and all you need is 3.
Absolutely.
And then all of the people who. And who knows, a lot of the things that you were talking about before, I mean, who knows what's going to be in the final bill. Some of them were in the Senate bill. Some of them were just in the House bill. But, I mean, either way, I mean, everybody knows that this bill is giving money from the poor and the working class and the middle class and giving it to the rich.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's amazing because I think that has been a great awareness just in the last month. I mean, first we saw it with the health care bill. People really were strongly against it, and you haven't seen quite as much anger, but I mean, it's still there. I mean, I saw on TYT Politics the people that got arrested, I think it was last Thursday.
Yes, because they were at the Capitol.
Yeah, at the Capitol, and and a lot of them were saying, this is, of course, in the Senate bill, they want to eliminate the mandate, which will cause 13 million people to lose their health care, and a lot of people will say it's going to be hard for the ACA to survive if the mandate is gone.
It cannot survive without the mandate because what happens is for people who really don't need the insurance right now, they just won't buy it. And the idea is the insurance means everybody participate, and for those who are unlucky enough to get sick, then the rest of us pay for them. It just doesn't work. And this mandate, I blame most progressives for not explaining that what insurance really is, because people always look at insurance as a product. Oh, it's a product that I can use or not use, so when I need the product, I buy it. Insurance is not a product. Insurance is insurance. What it means is that we all put together so that the unlucky one gets taken care of. That's what it is. It's not a product. And the problem is we fall into this capitalist notion of everything being a product. Capitalism needs to be used as a tool and not a religion. Everything is not a product in this world. Yes, when I write software, it's a product. When I sell software, it's a product. But when I have problems, it's not with health care, it's not a product. John, I have all the lines filled up. Is there something else you want to say, my dear brother?
No, I'm just wondering, you're thinking about having Rick Trevino on.
Yes, yes.
Do you have a schedule?
I don't have the date yet because I have an email out to him because he sent me a text, a Facebook message. and I'm still arranging a date. You know, we're putting together a new studio, so I mean, I want to get. He's going to be one of the first on my new studio. So
all right,
yes.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right, you doing a Saturday show?
The Saturdays are not coming back until, or rather, it's no longer going to be a Saturday show. It's every day of the week, effective January, the first week in January.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so
all
kindly,
right,
John.
Good.
Great.
All right, take care.
All right, let's go to line 3 for Kay Ollie. I may have that wrong. Kay Ollie or something like that. What's your name?
Kali.
Kali, how are you doing, Kali?
Okay, let's go to the Middle East.
Great, talk to me.
Okay, this that Trump has started, does Iran have any dog in this fight?
Who, Iran?
Yeah.
Iran doesn't have any dog in the fight at all, but they are going to be a part of the fight because that's the way it runs on that side of the world.
That's what I thought, but I hadn't heard anybody say anything about it, and I was just wondering, you know, I was just wondering how many people are going to be on the Palestinian side, and do you expect for it to be a big eruption?
Let me quantify this for
explain
you.
that to me. I'm gonna hang up.
Yes, I'll quantify that for you. Every single country in the Middle East will be on the side of the Palestinians except for Israel. Israel, look, I have no problem with Israel. I am not at all, but I have to make a statement here. You look at exactly what is occurring in Israel and assume that that had occurred here in the United States. Assume and tell me also if that isn't equivalent to much of what has happened in South Africa. Okay? You answer the question. The question is, and I'm not me, I'm talking about in general, people in general.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, if you force people off of land that their own, if the American Indians, the American natives went to the King Ranch and said, this is our ancestral land, get off. Will anybody at the King's Ranch move from that land, or would that start a war with the natives? That's, you know, Americans, these are very simple questions, and they're simple answers to it. Fairness is fairness. If you ask a simple question like I did, if the natives could come to the King's Ranch in Texas and say that's our ancestral lands, and tell them for that matter you have to move forcibly if necessary, we won't stand for it. Should Palestinians stand for it? That's all. I'm not going to give any answers here because that creates an eruption in issues. But the reality is one must ask that question, Miss Kelly.
Okay, thank you.
You have a wonderful day. All right, let's go to line number 5 with Joe. Come on in, Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Talk to me, my friend.
And I was under the impression that both the Senate and the House passed this bill and it was headed for a reconciliation committee.
You're absolutely correct. It's going to reconciliation, and that's the reason why to date it's not a bill. A passed bill. It's not the law is what I should say. It's not a law because at the Reconciliation Committee what they have to do is put all the words together to come up with a final bill that both the House and the Senate will vote for. Now there are options, right? If they can't come to a deal, they could say, okay, we'll just take the Senate bill, and since it's already passed in the Senate, it doesn't have to get passed again and pass it in the House. And that is a fear, because let me tell you what could happen here, my friend. There are a lot of senators that are having second thoughts right now. They're like, oh my God, I voted for this. I really don't want this. And they're saying, well, we'll fix it in this committee when we're reconciling the bill. But the House could say, oh, we're not going to get to come to any agreements with the reconciliation, so I'll just throw it on the floor in the House, and because we must have a Republican bill, we'll just pass the Senate bill. And that could,
you know, the guys that write the big checks to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
That's what they want. But let me tell you, people power is still prevalent. And the thing of the matter is, here's how it works out. These guys think that they are dependent on the big money to win. To win their next election. And some of them also will get a payoff that says, if you vote for this, whether you lose or not, you have a job as a lobbyist, or you have a job as a consultant, or you have a job as anything in here. So there are two groups, right? There is a group that will be hired if they lose their election for voting for this bill by the corporatocracy. That you will not change them away from the bill. As evil as the bill is, there's nothing that's going to change their mind, because they know whether passing that bill means that they get voting for that bill means even if they get booted out of office, they have a job that pays them darn good money from the corporatocracy. But there are those who the corporatocracy will not hire, who, if they realize that getting money from the corporatocracy to win isn't going to work, meaning the people hate it so much that no amount of money is going to get them reelected. That is what changes politicians' minds.
Well, that's a big if, man, because those guys, they've got gold, they've got nice fat consulting jobs waiting for them. If they lose,
But
it's a done deal. And the only course is like revolution and war.
Let's hold back a second. Let's hold back about the revolution and war. When that happens, when all else fails, I am still of the opinion that one of the reasons much has failed thus far is the apathy of the American people, our apathy. And one of my call-ins right now, one of the reasons that I've given up everything to do completely political activism is I believe that once we reignite, or once we get rid of apathy and reignite people power, reignite the faith that people have in themselves. Because, look, the Powell Manifesto spent an inordinate amount of money to get people to believe they don't matter, to get people to believe that only those with money matter, to get people to believe that it's the corporatocracy, the plutocracy who should run everything and that we don't have power. Democracy isn't real. It is my contention that democracy is real.
So that passion is close to the surface. You're right. It is close to the surface. We saw it with Bernie Sanders.
Yes, sir.
Example, right?
Yes, sir.
It can be easily tapped.
Yes, sir.
One more thing I want to say with I work for Big Oil, right? I work for one of the big three here in Houston.
Yes.
And at the end of the year, we're looking at our capital budgets and everything, and they lay it all out on the table, all the billions and billions of dollars that takes to run these organizations. Frankly, I would love it if my company had only to pay 20% tax, right? That means they could invest much more in exploration and drilling and salaries and hiring and dividends. You know, heck.
Right.
Frankly, I would be happy if they did that, but when they take my mortgage interest, my property taxes, all those things away, buddy, you made an enemy out of me.
Well, you know, and that's a whole issue. The thing about it is, here's the deal. Let me first give you some kudos for saying that. In other words, if you want to get them to pay 20%, and by the way, your company likely pays less than 20% right now.
No, they don't. They pay around 35%.
Okay, let me ask. I can't ask your company because you're on the air, but here's the deal. I don't know what company you work for, but most of the large corporations, they don't pay 35%. They actually pay 10%, 8%, some pay nothing. Because that nominal figure, guess who pays that? The small mom and pop corporations are the ones who pay 35%. Okay, the average corporation, GE, paid a few years ago 0. These companies don't pay a lot because they have their lawyers who go, or their accountants who know how to use all the loopholes in the law to get around it. So I don't know your particular company's history. But the thing about it is this. If your company were really going to invest that into exploration, which means hiring more people, if your company was really going to invest that into your salary, then that could actually mitigate your loss of the sale tax deduction. It could also mitigate your loss for the mortgage deduction and all of that. So, I mean, if wages were going to increase at a higher rate than the loss in deductions, hey, it's a good trade-off. The problem is we have history here. We've given these people, these corporations, the ability to bring their monies back tax-free or at a lower tax rate, and they didn't invest it in people. They didn't invest it into trying to create more jobs. You know what they did with it? They went ahead and gave it back to their shareholders. The people who do no work just have their money invested, so they got the money. The people who actually made money for the company, the average American citizen, the workers, the working class, they didn't partake of the spoils.
I mean, the shareholders are me, right? The shareholders are employees, and they are pension funds.
Let me stop you there.
They are everyday Americans.
Hold on.
Of them.
They're true, but let me give you the numbers. Let me give you the numbers.
You know, it's not like, what's his name, down at Tammany Hall. It's not like these robber barons are around.
No. Look, I don't want to disagree with you too much, but I want to disagree on one thing. You are correct that as working with the oil company and you buying their shares, you are one of the beneficiaries as a shareholder, but nowhere close to the persons who really own the amount of shares I'm talking about. The little amount of shares that you own, whether it's $100,000, $500,000, that is peanuts compared to what I'm talking about. But let me go a little bit further.
Yeah.
Let me go a little further. The other issue is if you take a look at 8% of the capital in this country, or rather, 80% of the people in this country only owns 8% of capital. So the stock market, in as much as it may favor you, it favors very few Americans. 8% of Americans own, 80% of the stock market goes to the top 10%. So let's look at things. I don't look at things just through my eyes. I've gotten out of the stock market completely and went all cash for a long time now. But the idea here is that what happens a whole lot is we look through the framework of a few people, and and as a political activist, we have to start looking through the framework of what makes the entire country better. Hey, my brother Joe, anything else quickly you have to say? Because of my lines, I got to go to another line.
Okay, man. Hey, good luck igniting the passion, man. I'm working on my end.
Thank you, brother. You keep up doing the good work, okay? All right, let's go to Gary, line 4. Come on in, Gary.
Hey, Egberto.
Talk to me, my brother.
2 comments.
Yes, sir.
Maybe a question if there's time, but I'm a brief kind of guy.
I know.
I read a funny comment in the Washington Post website today I thought you'd appreciate. Someone pointed out that what goes around comes around,
yes.
and that today, if you think about the American Revolution,
yes,
we now have exactly the conditions thereof. In other words, taxation without representation.
That is so true.
And a mad king.
That is so true.
Put that all together. Now, I want to I want to scold you.
Scold me, my dear friend.
Okay, you've mentioned the word that is existential a number of times.
Yes.
And you're talking about the economy and the culture of the United States.
Yes.
of America. Now, California is burning down.
Yes.
The Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico were devastated.
Yes.
We have Key West and your own city having been hammered.
Right.
Don't you think that the survival of civilization on this planet is a little more existential to focus on than whether people get rich or not? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course I understand what you're saying, because you are consistent, and I'm glad that you are consistent in your messaging.
But nobody else is consistent.
No.
When the last preacher dies...
Gary, the last time we spoke about this, I asked you specifically to go to my site and make your case as well, because I said I will be promoting that case as well. My word is gold. You are absolutely right. The environmental problems that we have is existential. The overpopulation problems that we have is existential. There are a lot of existential issues, and we have to put them in the right order in the way we solve things. Now, right now, the reason I brought the tax issue as existential is that it could pass in a couple days. I can't solve the environmental problem in a couple days, but I'll even get worse, the environmental problem, if we allow the shenanigans that we have currently with the Trump administration. So I am not disagreeing with you in the least.
All right, I'm going to get to you. I apologize.
That's all right.
Make an observation your last caller may appreciate. They're talking about a potential government shutdown. There's something that they're calling the silver tsunami.
Right.
Which is the baby boomers, and we're all retired.
Yes.
And they say if the government shuts down, they may actually withhold Social Security payment.
That will wake the silver folks up.
Well, I'm telling you right now, and God is my witness, this is my prediction. If you think that there's going to be a revolution, that's going to make it, because by God, I'm the most peaceful human on earth, but they take away my last living opportunity to eat and sleep in my home. They're going to see some action.
Trump, are you listening? Trump, Paul Ryan, are you listening? Thank you, my brother. You have a great one, Gary. You keep listening. You keep calling. Yes, sir.
Are you not in the ministry of some kind? I thought I saw in your biography that you were active in a church.
No, I don't do the church, but there is a blogger that I carry a couple of his pieces. He writes about once a month at my site, and that he is a deacon at a church. I'm not a religious person at all, but I have, as you know, I entertain absolutely everybody, the right, the left, the religious, the atheist, everybody. So everybody have freewheeling with me, because I think that's how we come together, if we all can speak and have a...
Well, let me say something for your friend. I am not religious at all, but I am an agnostic. But I want to point out, if you've ever studied Scripture...
Yes.
Donald Trump fits the Antichrist to a T. The threat of nuclear war.
Oh, yes.
We got the war, stuff going on now around Israel.
Yes.
And we've got this division of America, divide
Gary.
and conquer. Our enemies are our friends, and our friends are now just
Gary,
saying, hey,
I gotta let you go, but you know what? I want to tell you, you're a good. Wait, yeah, no, you're right. But let me tell you something, Gary. Before you hang up, listen to me. Listen to me. You're absolutely right. And to think the person that they once used to like to call the Antichrist was El Presidente Obama. That is so funny. Thank you, Gary. You have a great one, my brother.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Before we go to the other call, I want Don to talk about what he just wrote down there. Let's hear your voice, Don.
All right. Most of these shows that we have call-in shows, and it was also a person who called in to say, hey, can we make sure that people understand this? Real quick thing, as fast as people want to call and fill up these lines, which I completely understand, make sure you fill up the lines of your representatives just as quick. Because the thing is, the way, just because your representatives aren't talking to you every single week doesn't mean they aren't doing something. So make sure that you call your representatives and talk to them with the same vigor that you have whenever you talk to Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Don. You're absolutely right. So, folks, you're talking to me, but please also call your representative, both your one congressperson and your 2 senators. All right, let's go to line number 2 with Nana. Come on in, Nana.
Hi. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to make a few points in regard to the previous caller that said he works for one of the major 3 oil companies.
Yes.
Here. First of all, in the news this morning, GE scheduled to fire 12,000 people.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay.
And what it is, they're already reacting because they think this is a done deal. Ford taking jobs to Mexico. Okay, so you can fool yourself and drink the Kool-Aid that the bosses are putting out at the water cooler, but you are the one who's going to be suckered. And it would take you need to take caution because we've already been down this road with oil, and recently, the other thing about it is that people think that. Okay, this comment that was made about call your representatives. Not only do I call Cruz and Cornyn, I don't think that goes anywhere, very honestly. Last week I went down to Cruz's office with
Indivisible.
Move On.
Excellent.
A MoveOn.org organized event.
Mm-hmm.
There were probably 25 people down there.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were seniors.
Right.
And I don't even feel like that gets anything. There was no coverage of this for the news, local news. I don't know what happened in regard.
Can I stop you for a second, Nana? Nana,
in regard to information going out to the media that this protest would be taking place. Yes, sir.
Let me just tell you, the mainstream media isn't covering these issues, okay? But rest assured that independent media like myself, Politics Done Right on EgbertoWillies.com, we are covering this, and we are not. And a lot of people think, well, this independent media doesn't cover a whole lot of people. Blogs like mine get several thousand views per day. I mean, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, sometimes even more per day. And not only do we get these views, but these views are shared. So we are actually undercutting the mainstream media, who the corporatocracy pretty much prevents from showing all these issues. If they started to show the real revolution that is occurring in the American population right now, it'll actually build up on itself. But one of the things I want to use the platform to say is, when you go to these websites and you see a little button that says help keep progressive media or help keep independent media alive, do go ahead and drop a few pennies there, because I tell you what, exactly what you said is real. If 50 people are going out to Cruz's office and nobody knows about it, it means nothing. But if 50 people go out to that office and it gets on a blog and it gets on the independent media, then suddenly several 100,000, several million people find out about it, whether it's covered by ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, or any one of these guys. So please do remember that for all those that are listening right now. Continue, please, my friend Nana.
Thank you. The other thing is for people to think back and remember the ideology has been voiced in regard to totally collapsing what is so-called considered the middle class in America.
Right.
And this move, in my way of thinking, is a major move towards that, because these people are gifting the super rich. They're worshiping, basically, the way they seem to do things, the super rich. They think that they're going to have a place at the table in terms of what's going on with this bill.
Look, yeah, I mean,
and that's all it's all about.
I can't disagree with anything you've said, Nana. Look, I appreciate your call. I hope you keep listening. I hope you keep calling. And I hope, well, just listening to you, you're doing your part. You're out there with Move On. Keep up the work. But let me tell you something else, Nana, that we all need to do, all of us. We need to do what you're doing, meaning using your own body to go out there. But we also need to encourage our friends and families to do the same, those who are able to do so. So, I mean, we have to all multiply ourselves. That is how what's called geometric progression occurs. That means that we multiply ourselves, and in doing so, we grow that much faster. Thank you so kindly for calling, Nana.
I'll keep listening, and thank you for the encouragement.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let's go to MOD, line 6. Come on in, MOD. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, you didn't save me for last.
No, we have more calls, but it is the lines are filled.
Yeah,
and by the way, we have a few more open now, 713-526-5738. And James, I'm coming to you next. Come on in, MOD.
Were you alluding to, like, when you say apartheid, you start with South Africa. Mm-hmm. You know about that, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we know about Palestine, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's, there hasn't been a larger open wall prison since Warsaw. Than the Straits, right?
Yes, I mean, you know what? I've never heard it put that way, but I kind of like the way you said that.
But guess what's coming to America?
Tell me.
We're having the same here. We're just a little bit more of a conditioning. We're building our own prison with. What do we watch? What's the conditioning that's going on here? Porn, drugs, sports.
We
watch there's no separation of death. Morticians of body parts. So go ahead.
Hey, Modi, I like your thought process. In effect, what you're saying is we are pretty much enslaving ourselves. So they don't even have to build the walls for us because they've done a good job with our minds. And if you've read a lot of the blogs that I write, it's all about the Powell Manifesto and how the Powell Manifesto was the genesis of everything that's going on right now. We have taught Americans to have a certain dependency on a certain class of people. We have demoralized Americans without knowing that it's a demoralization. And before, I know you have some more to say, but I want to say this little quick story, real quick. And I went to there's a building in Kingwood. Kingwood flooded, and a whole lot of people have their homes flooded. And there's this old folks home that got flooded, and these people who were running the home never bought flood insurance. They collect a whole lot of money all of the times for the maintenance fees and so forth. When it flooded, they told all the tenants, you guys have to come up, each of you, with $30-something thousand or sell your apartment and leave. And I went there. I wanted to make a story out of it because I thought it was really abusing the elderly for something that that should have been taken care of with the fees that these people pay. And I went and spoke to one of the elderly. She was complaining royally, but I spoke to several others. More of those people were so complacent. Well, we don't like what's happening, but we don't have a choice. And I hear that a lot in politics when I go out there and meet people in the streets. Well, nothing is going to change. And it is what I find that I have to do is try to say, no, we are here to empower you. Because I don't have to empower you. I can't empower you. I have to let you know that you are already empowered. Because I am nobody that can empower you. You can only empower yourself. And you have to realize that you're empowered.
That there are exceptions, and then there's averages. And the majority, if you're conditioned and deconditioned, desensitized. So, where Bibi stays. The last two times he's been here in this country, right?
I thought it was on Trump's property, right?
In Jared Kushner's bed.
I didn't realize it was Kushner's bed, though.
No, he has slept 2 times this year in the bed that his daughter, Trumpster's daughter, and Jared. Anyway, so we know the partnership with Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Egypt, U.S., and the Orthodox rabbis have gone to Russia since last year, consider Putin the next Messiah. It's the smoke and mirrors that we're seeing right now with this temple, the temple.
Yes.
That they're talking about. This is just justification when the global fiat currency has run its course and the transfer of wealth is done. The only thing left is in this republic is what? The pensions and
right.
hard assets. You know, that's why you referenced earlier. These guys that sit on the mounds of cash, they watch the tide go out,
yes,
and come in. So we see the asset stripping done in Greece, and we're no different. We're just being cooked like a frog,
Hey, Modi, yes, I know what you're going to say. You warm the water so slowly you don't realize you're boiling on it until it's too late.
It's done.
And then then you're cooked.
That tax bill reform was like the biggest piece. But
yes.
Anyway, this is war coming up, like a drone dropping in China.
Yeah.
India. India signed a security pact with NATO. Obama went over there last year and got it done, but they slit their own throat. So NATO is on the borderline there, incursion into Pakistan. So all this crap's going on, but
nobody knows.
Simple.
Look, I gotta go to the other call, MOD. But as usual, let me tell you, I enjoy listening to you. Always come to us with a whole lot of good snippets. I like the reading that you do, my brother. You take care, okay?
All right, bye.
Have a good one. Okay, James, you are line numero uno. Come on in, James.
Thank you, Doctor. Listen, I believe, first of all, I really appreciate the show. I appreciate the people who call in.
We have great callers. Yes, we have great callers.
Yeah, and make me wonder why we're in the situation that we're in America. That's the problem. And you hit it on the head. It's apathy.
Yes.
It's plain. That's the answer is to solve this apathy problem. But it's not totally our fault. To me, I believe that the wealthy have formed a full-fledged assault on America and democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And because I guess they realize that it's time for them to do it, and they have what they have that we don't have, and we should be mindful of it, is that they have power, they have money, and they have knowledge. Okay, and with those three things, that's why they're able to put us in a state of apathy, because they have the knowledge to manipulate the masses. They know what they're doing.
Yes.
Just like Trump's strategy. Just like if you were fighting a battle, wouldn't you use that strategy?
Yeah,
you start a fire here.
Mm-hmm.
You start a fire there. You start all these fire points, and then that way you got the people divided. You
James.
So now,
James,
that's where we are.
James, in the blog, I kind of mentioned some of that, and I did that in front of the show. What we do is we put so many different. You're fighting so many different things at the same time that you can't concentrate on one, and that's why in the blog, what I said is what we have to do is prioritize these issues. In other words, you remember Gary called in and spoke about it. Berta, why didn't you talk about the environment being existential? Gary's absolutely right. But what I try to tell Gary and I try to explain is we have to prioritize all these issues so that we arrange them. We attack the ones that need to be attacked because, again, you don't solve the tax problem first. You can forget about the environment problem. You can forget about the education problem because all of those things are all encompassed in there. So, you are absolutely right. And now when it comes to the power, money has a lot less power when we really empower people's vote. Money only has power if people don't have a mind. If people have a mind, the money will do nothing. You can spend, and Hillary learned that, right? Hillary Clinton learned that. She spent $1 billion on TV, if not more, when you put it all together, and she learned that there's nothing she could do. I know she won the popular vote, but not in the right places. There's nothing that she could have done that with her money that changed the votes of the people who are already convinced of certain things. So money is not all. But I got to go to the other call, the last call, James.
Well, one thing,
yes, sir.
Let me say this. To fix this problem, I believe that to turn America around, it's not going to happen with a two-party system. We're going to have to get rid of it.
And that's why we bring...
or get a third-party system.
Got to go, my brother, but you're right. That's why we have to go. Progressives have to come into power so that they can break the duopoly. You're absolutely right. Okay, let's go to line number 2. Alex, I'm going to have to be a little quick with you. Talk to me, my brother. Alex, you're on. Alex, you're on. Alex.
Hey, yeah. Hello. Yeah, today...
And we just lost the caller that just called in. Call in real quick and I'll get you on for about 30 seconds. All right, come on in, Alex.
Hello. So today's my first time listening to you, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I have an issue with, you were talking about the ACA earlier.
Yes, sir.
And I think we would agree that we have to move away from a for-profit healthcare system.
I am for a single-payer system all the way. I'm for complete universal healthcare, single-payer with absolutely no profit in it. That's my stance.
Sure.
The ACA is just a stopgap measure as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, because, yeah, I mean, it seemed like you were kind of
I know
it
my brother. What happened is, this is the first time you've listened to the show. If you listen to it continuously, you'll see that no, you are absolutely right. Healthcare requires a single payer system. It's the only practical, efficient system to use. Mathematically speaking, there is no other.
Right, because you're talking about the mandate and how, because that's one of my main issues with the ACA is the mandate.
The thing about it. Look,
I understand that you need that to make it work the way it's written.
Yes.
But
in the current,
my issue is that I don't think the ACA moves us in the direction of a not-for-profit healthcare system.
Let me tell you what I wrote several years ago. I said the ACA, because for-profit healthcare is bound to fail, having an ACA who created already a universal structure will make it easier to get single payer. That's what I said. In other words, in a back you know what kind of way, we could have used the ACA to get to single payer. That was my contention. Okay? So, Alex, real quickly, I got to go. So give any quick statement you need to make. All right. Thank you so kindly for calling, Alex. You have a wonderful day, folks. This has been one more edition of Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for giving us a call. I have some of the absolute best callers, the absolute best listeners. So what I need to tell you guys, though, is you can't just be listeners. You can't just be callers. You have to be activists. Every single one of you that's listening to me right now need to become an activist. You need to go out there. Whatever you get from Indivisible, whatever you get from Our Revolution, whatever you get from Move On, whatever you get from Swing Left, you got to effectuate it. You got to put your bodies on the line. That is where we are. It is existential. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. I'll see you next week.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.